All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Impact and Coffee on this wonderful sunny March 2nd day. I cannot believe it's already March, but it is. I'm Robert Nelson. I'm the program manager for Pivotal New Mexico. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Michael Green. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Michael Green, co-host for Impact and Coffee, and I'm also a program manager at the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association. So glad that you guys were able to join us today. And yeah, we look forward to a great conversation about youth in the outdoors. So Robert, do you want to tell us what Impact and Coffee is all about?
Absolutely. Impact and Coffee is an open, welcoming conversation to exchange stories and ideas, foster innovation, strengthen the nonprofit sector, and ultimately build community. We've been going for over 5 years now, so we have really enjoyed making relationships with all of you in the audience today, and also just inviting some of our speakers in to talk, especially during the COVID crisis. So this has been a really exciting time to do that. Michael, it's Gratitude Tuesday today. Would you want to talk a little bit about what Gratitude Tuesday is and what you're grateful for?
Sure. Yeah, Gratitude Tuesday is just, Tuesdays where you talk about something that you're grateful for. So I think that I have been grateful for this sunny weather today. We'll go with that. It's a cop out, but it's a good one. So yeah, I'm happy that spring is here. I'm happy that the COVID cases seem to be going down and more people are getting vaccinated. So I think there's kind of a lot of optimism kind of out in the world these days. So yeah. And how about you, Robert? What are you grateful for?
I am also grateful for sunny weather and warm weather. It's nice to just be able to sit outside in our backyard and enjoy the warmth. And I'm also just grateful for everyone who's joining us this morning at Impact and Coffee, and that it's almost springtime. So it's going to be really great. I think it's going to be a really great spring this year. So I'm really optimistic. Do you want to tell everyone about the Next Gen In Award, which is the slide up in on our screen today?
Yeah, definitely. So Next Gen In is this wonderful opportunity we have for youth to build capacity in the nonprofit community. So basically, if there is a youth 25 or younger who works for your organization who has an idea to build capacity basically within your organization, I would encourage you to have them apply to the program. So they can receive $1,000 grant basically to kind of complete the goals and stuff that they set for themselves. So there's information right here about how to do that. The application is pretty simple, and what happens is the Impact and Coffee team will kind of review the information as it comes in, and if we have any suggestions to improve it, we'll let you know. And then it's exciting because we do give $1,000 to youth, and they get to kind of build something within their organization. So it's kind of a way to build some like leadership skills and so forth. So I would definitely encourage you to encourage anybody to apply for this.
Awesome.
Also within our newsletter, if you receive our newsletter, there's information and has all the links to that as well.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. I know we have some new slides today, so I'm just kind of walking through some of these things. But I just want to thank the folks that really make Impact and Coffee possible. So the Grand Plan, what is now known as Pivotal New Mexico, what used to be known as the Grants Collective, SYNC, La Red del Rio Bajo, and then the UNM Office of Community Engaged Learning and Research, and then what used to be Global Ties. So we'll revise some of these slides as we go forward. I'm just trying to, how do these work? Always, if you can, connect to Impact and Coffee through social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. I also think we're on Instagram. And so if you could just, if you're joining us today, tag yourself on the Facebook event and share on social media, or hashtag Impact and Coffee, what your story is today. Our team is also looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in joining the Impact and Coffee team, let us know. The email here is at the bottom, info@impactandcoffee.org. We would love to have you just join us. We are looking for just a few more members just to round out our team. We work really hard. We meet about once a month and do some really cool things. So if you're interested in building your network and also just developing more deeper relationships with the community, let us know and we'll get right back to you probably within the next couple weeks or so. But other than that, I'm going to turn it over and stop sharing my screen and turn it over to our panelists to introduce themselves. I'm also going to ask folks to mute their videos as they are as they are joining us today. And I know a lot of folks just turn off your videos. That'd be really helpful. But I will turn it over to our panelists to introduce themselves, starting with you, Marco. If you could just take about a couple minutes to introduce yourself and your organization and what you're grateful for this morning.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Michael. My name is Marco Darío Sandoval Payan. This morning, I'm feeling really grateful for, let's see, we already used the sun. That is something to be grateful for, though. Just overall, I have this feeling of gratitude for our partners this morning, everyone that's coming in and, just helping us accomplish our goals of serving the youth of New Mexico. So feeling really grateful for partners this morning. So I'm from New Mexico. Been here for a while in terms of my family. My mom is from Chihuahua, Mexico. So that is something that I use a lot in the work that I do. I'm bilingual thanks to my mother, and also thanks to the dual language education system here in New Mexico that helped a lot too. So that's something that we use in our work, and that's something that I draw upon for our programming. So I'm the program manager for StoryRiders, which is a program of the Center of Southwest Culture, which also does has other projects. But StoryRiders is about getting youth outdoors and into the bosque primarily, because that is such a huge asset that we have in this community. And children really belong outside. That is their natural habitat. What we do is we've actually been able to this year start giving bikes away to children. So that is one way that we really just encourage youth to get outside and give them the tools and to be outside. So we're called StoryRiders too, because what we do is, besides just learning about the bosque, learning about cottonwoods, learning about plants, we also do an elder interview with each group that comes through. And we just find that, storytelling is a very potent method of knowledge communication, knowledge transmission. And that tends to be one of our favorite aspects. And the students really connect with local elders who we find, and we teach them how to do interviews. And yeah, that's basically what we do here, right? Now, we've also added some programs too. We have an internship program now with a paid internship with high schoolers from South Valley Academy. And that program's really awesome. That program's taken off with our partners at My Brother's Keeper Alliance and Naka Inspired Schools Network. They've come in and taught us some methods on how to incorporate social emotional learning. And that has been fantastic. And that's been a really awesome addition to our programming that we are going to use in all of our different projects here at StoryRiders.
That's awesome. Thanks, Marco. I really appreciate that. I'm going to kick it over to you, Jordan. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your program too, and what you're grateful for this morning?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. And thanks, Marco. Great to hear about your program as well. My name is Jordan Stone. I am the executive director at Cottonwood Gulch Expeditions. And this morning, I have a daughter who just turned 2, and she keeps me grounded, which has been really good throughout this whole pandemic. And spent the morning up until right when I hopped on here with her, which was really nice. So I was grateful for that opportunity. At Cottonwood Gulch, we're a 95-year-old organization. This is our 95th year in 2021. And we work with kids, 1st grade through 12th grade, and run outdoor expeditions that help kids fall in love with the natural world. We've got an incredible, diverse staff team, and we use New Mexico and the Southwest as our backdrop, our outdoor classroom. And that includes everything from, the empty lot next to somebody's school here in Albuquerque to taking kids to, the Gila Wilderness to go on a backpacking trip and experience that often for the first time. So we're doing all kinds of different things. COVID has obviously, thrown a wrench in most everything, and I know we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But overall, we see this work as really important because we're challenging people to be curious about the natural world, everything around them, and challenge them to grow into something bigger than themselves, and give them the tools and the confidence to go back to their home, whatever that means to them, and be leaders in their communities. And we've seen that this, using the outdoors as a classroom for that, is one of the best ways to accomplish some of those goals. So thankful to be here. Looking forward to hearing more from these other partners, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. And last but certainly not least is Baruch Campos from Together for Brothers. Welcome, Baruch, and thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. My name is Baruch, or Baruch, right? Both pronunciations are alive with me. My PGPs are he, him, his, and I'm a program coordinator with Together for Brothers. And what we do is we build capacity and leadership for young men of color. So I always consider us like a platform for young men to really be able to recognize and tap into those assets that we already know they have, right? Their life experiences. And so we actually have currently a lot of youth-led programming. So what that means is we have young men of color actually leading circles in their communities, currently online through Zoom. And I can talk a little bit later about some of the things we have coming up around biking and cooking. But something that I'm grateful for today, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for coffee. I'm grateful for music, and definitely the warmer weather.
That's awesome. Thanks, Baruch. I appreciate it. And welcome back to Impact and Coffee, because I know T for B actually presented a long time ago, about 3.5 years ago, I believe. So welcome back. We really appreciate y'all and the work that you're doing in community. We're going to dive right into questions. So, I've heard a lot from friends that are just like waiting for the pandemic to be over. They're like, it's going to be over soon, hopefully. So we're all crossing fingers and trying to be optimistic. But obviously the pandemic has only exacerbated existing inequities in our communities. So could you just talk a little bit, how has your organization kind of weathered the storm? And what is the impact that you've seen in our communities from the crisis in general? And I'll jump to you, Marco, if just answer this question first, if you could.
Absolutely, thank you. Well, yeah, the reason we started our program in 2017 was actually to address existing inequities in the outdoor education area, right? I felt like a lot of our students, I was working at a school, Dolores Gonzalez, which is in the heart of Barelas. I just felt like the school day didn't include enough outdoor activity and enough sunlight. And the buildings too, some of these older school buildings don't include big windows too. So just reading, I think we all know that, sunlight is really good for us. I mean, obviously today we all are really feeling really grateful for that sun. It does have an impact on how we feel, right? But as I said before, being outdoors is the natural habitat of children. There's so much learning that occurs just from jumping around outside and getting dirty, socializing with others, right? So yeah, I think that's only been exacerbated by the pandemic. One, everybody's inside now, right? I mean, we're on our computers even more than ever, which is a miracle of technology, but also keeps us away from the outdoors, unfortunately. And I see it in my own children. As someone who works in the outdoor recreation field, it's even difficult for me to get my kids outside, and myself as well during this time. We're doing a lot of Zoom meetings and stuff. So so the way that we've addressed it actually is we decided to continue our programming and just do everything outdoors. And we've actually been able to make that happen by partnering with Casa Barelas, which is another nonprofit. And they had to shut down pretty much most of their programs because it was all about socialization and getting people together and doing things in community. But they allowed us the use of this space, which I'm in right now. It's an old garage located in the heart of Barelas. And we've been able to set up a bike shop for the very first time, which before that, this bike shop was my backyard. And, the elements are really terrible on bikes. So we have about 40 bikes that need to be built up. We've already built up about 40 this entire winter. But yeah, the decision to continue programming, safely socially distanced in much smaller groups. We've previously worked with about 15 kids at a time, and right now we're doing groups no bigger than 6 children. And just staying outside, it's actually been, for us, it's been a really positive shift, actually. Yeah, and luckily in the outdoor recreation area, you know, we're outside anyway. So that's, you know, just kind of happened to line up with the social guidelines. But yeah, another thing that I've seen that's been kind of tough on families, especially with our teenagers coming in from South Valley Academy, has been, you know, the struggle to get steady income into homes. So we've just been really honored to work with the Kellogg Foundation and South Valley Academy to provide paid internships to the 3 youth that we work with, the 3 interns. And that just adds a little more income to the household, right? Because right now it's really tough for people. So yeah, that's one of the ways that we've been able to adapt in this time.
Thanks, Marco. I appreciate it. Is that old garage over there by it is by Casa Bareilles, right? Over there, I know which one you're talking about. I'm really glad.
It is Casa Bareilles, yeah. It's a big white one. It has beautiful murals on 2 of the walls here. Yeah, Heart of Bareilles.
Oh man, I love that old building. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jordan, I'm gonna pass to you to talk a little bit about that first question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we've made some shifts to try, which is ironic, right? But to go to virtual programming, to do outdoor programs, which is, you know, a weird thing to wrap our minds around. And we've had some good success in certain ways with, you know, we have a bunch of school partners and engaging them by going into their virtual classroom and giving students activities or assignments that include going outside and doing various activities and then coming back and sharing, which is great in many ways and has been really successful. But also when you're asking about inequities, you know, we see the kids who can and can't easily do that. I mean, when the pandemic started, the number I saw was 23% of kids in New Mexico didn't have reliable internet access. And so you see that, we see that in our school partners where there's a lot of disparity around who we came up with these great activities, but who can even have access to do those, and what are the expectations and all of that. So we with our school partners continue to see a lot of those challenges. So to address that, we're trying to take a multi-pronged approach. We're trying to continue offering stuff with our school partners where we can. We've done during the pandemic some activity drop-off things at the a lot of the schools have been doing still, you know, meal pickups at the schools, and so we've had outdoor activities that a bunch of other organizations have created to drop off there. And we've also been working, so we have an office in Albuquerque and we have a 500-acre property in western New Mexico between Grants and Gallup. And we've been partnering with some organizations out there to do some food relief efforts, because we're right on the edge of the Navajo Nation, and we've seen a lot of inequities there as far as who has access to these resources and how they're impacted by the vaccine. So we did some food distribution out of that site, turned our kitchen into a regional food distribution center, and have also been working with this group called Chiz for Che, who has been bringing a lot of people, especially kids, out to our property to haul firewood out to Navajo elders who use it for cooking and warmth, who can't get the wood on their own. So we've been trying to, you know, sort of indirectly engage kids in that way by creating these new partnerships and working on these programs that are giving them a chance to get outside and do some good to try to address some of these inequities that you're referring to.
Thanks, Jordan. Really appreciate it. Baruch, I can pass it to you for this question.
Sure, yeah. When you asked the question, I'm trying to think where to start, right? We know that especially during the pandemic, things like financial and food insecurities have increased. We know that personally, a story that I could share, very early on in the pandemic, we started hearing from our young men around mental health and stress, right? School is already really tough and really difficult for young men of color, right? And other young people in low income communities that are already experiencing so many barriers, but then to having to shift to online. So we know that mental health was also something that we've been hearing a lot from our young people. But some things that Together for Brothers has been doing to address those things, obviously, we definitely have internships that we definitely pay all of our young people, right? We have currently 9 interns who are all getting paid through T for B, as well as 30 plus youth leaders who have we just finished our multilingual circle last week, where 30 plus young people will be also getting paid in stipend for their time. Food insecurity, right? We really believe that food is really important, and through our partnership with Three Sisters Kitchen, we're actually able to provide and expand that partnership and provide through the refresh program at Three Sisters Kitchen for all of our youth organizers, food bags, right, every 2 weeks. So that's been a partnership that has been really developing throughout the years, but definitely during the pandemic is something that we've definitely used to our community's advantage. And then we've also been making more intentional space for those mental health conversations around resiliency, right? And how young men can actually deal with that stress of being at home, doing school at home, through Zoom, right? And we know that home can get hectic sometimes, right? So we've definitely been doing some intentional partnership with UNM through their Aspire program. So that's definitely been a new partnership that we've developed so we could lean on their expertise and have these conversations with our young men. So they have the skills and tools to better not only participate with us, but also in their social and, family lives. And then lastly, definitely I resonate with what my 2 brothers here have already said around outdoors and equity. We've definitely been continuing our transit equity work because we know that for a lot of our families, they're considered essential workers, and we know that transportation is really important. And so we've been really strong advocates very early on in the pandemic about transportation being free for those essential workers, which it has during the pandemic, right? For everybody, transportation has been free for those who use it. And for sure, outdoor activities around biking, right? We've continued our biking program and actually provided also bikes to young people who need it. Again, it's that equity piece, right? We know that our communities sometimes don't have the equipment to go out and actually bike around their neighborhood, access those trails, access those parks. So that's definitely something that we've also been really mindful of and providing for all of our young people who have been participating with us during the pandemic.
Thanks, Baruch. Appreciate it. I'm going to hand it over to Michael to ask our next question.
Yeah, thank you guys. This next question kind of piggybacks off of what you guys had all spoken about. Instead of talking about this past year, we're going to talk about the upcoming year. So what are you looking forward to for the rest of 2021? So we know that it's been a crazy 2020 and crazy beginning of 2021, but what are you most looking forward to for this next year? And we'll go ahead and start with Marco again.
So what I'm looking forward to is, well, I'm hoping we're going to get some stimulus checks, bigger stimulus checks, just around for everybody. Hopefully we start taxing the wealthy too. I don't know if that's what you meant by that question, but that's what I'm looking forward to. But really, I mean, I'm just looking forward to, well, a post-COVID world, or at least how are we going to adapt to this? And hopefully we take a lot of the lessons learned and apply those changes, right? So one major thing that I think has been maybe a positive, if you can find some positive in this pandemic, is the forced slowing down. And I really think that does go hand in hand with like outdoor recreation, and being outside is kind of just taking the moment to pause, slow down. Bikes slow us down, it's faster than walking. It's all relative, I guess. But yeah, just take a moment to let's take our human needs into account. So I'm hoping that is something that really shifts this year. Like Baruch was saying, yeah, just taking into account what do people need to be successful and thrive in a society, right? So if that's free transportation, if that's access to bicycles, more access to outdoor locations, then I hope that changes. I hope that shifts. But personally, and for like the StoryRiders program, we're seeing a lot of expansion right now, a lot of partnering, and that's been really, really good for us and good for our partners too. So we have big plans this year. So we have our flagship program where we're serving 4th through 8th grade students, and we have that already planned out until August, and we're almost full. If you're listening to this and you want to register, you can go to StoryRiders.org and find our registration. But we're getting a lot of influx of bikes right now from community, and that's fantastic. And one of those community partners is Chainbreaker Collective in Santa Fe, and they call us every couple of months, and they have a big donation for us. So we go and pick it up, and that's been really helpful. But yeah, this has been a year of partnering, and it's just I want to really emphasize that this has really helped us accomplish a lot more. And that's something I would recommend to people. I know it's one of the next questions, but yeah, just finding where we can have strategic partnerships really has been really good for us. So yeah, one thing I'm looking forward to is our intern program. This is the first time we have interns. It's the first time I work with high schoolers, and it's been really enlightening and really amazing. So I just want to expand that and offer more opportunities for our youth. We just started last week because I think they got kind of tired after a few months of just breaking down bikes. They wanted something a little fresh. So we got a local artist to come in and start some art creation with our interns, and they're going to beautify this space because it just has a lot of blank walls, and we want to make it really pretty. Also, we're hoping to start an abuelitas class this year. So we're getting a lot of bikes that are good for elderly women. And just because we're all men of color here, we're all Latinos, Mexicanos, we started talking one day, and we kind of realized that our mothers and our grandmothers don't really know how to ride bikes. So we said, well, let's ask them. Everybody go home, ask your elder if they want to learn how to ride a bike. And the answer was overwhelmingly yes. There's definitely a lot of interest. So we are going to start an abuelitas class. Don't know when. It's probably going to be in the fall. Yeah, that's essentially it.
Nice. Yeah, you guys are doing some great things. It's nice to see the positive things that have come out of COVID and having to slow down, like you said, and reanalyze priorities and everything. So I'm glad that you guys are making a positive take on everything. So thank you for sharing that. All right, Jordan, same question to you.
Yeah, that abuelitas class sounds great. That's a great idea. When you ask about what I'm looking forward to, my wife's a teacher. I work a lot with teachers, and I feel so much for teachers right now. And I feel like they've not all, but many have, sort of lost a spark in their careers because the pandemic has been so hard, and teaching virtually can be really draining, and the thought of going back or not can be draining. So I'm looking forward to their lives getting better, and hopefully finding ways for us to provide great experiences and maybe a little bit of that spark, or help them with that. We've had a lot of people find this new appreciation for outdoor learning during the pandemic, partly because it's safer, you're less likely to get the virus, but also as Marco and Baruch have talked about, like it's good regardless of the pandemic to get outside. Like sunshine is great for the soul, and we see kids when they're outside, so many of them have this new level of curiosity and excitement about learning that they don't always feel in the classroom. And so adding more of that and supplementing that and helping us find ways to work with more local schools and teachers and kids ultimately to get them outside is what I am most looking forward to this year. We've got a bunch of partnerships. We've got a number of new teachers who have been contacting us saying, hey, how do we create this new program or expand this program? We really want to find a way to get our kids outside more. And I'm excited to find ways to make that happen.
Jordan. Yeah, I think getting outside is very important. And I go hiking quite a bit. And so it's been interesting this year just to see the amount of new people on the trails. And so I think that people are kind of realizing the benefits of sunlight and being out in nature. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. All right, Baruch, same question to you.
Yeah, I think as my wish and what we're looking forward to as we start moving more towards opening up, right, and doing things in person, we are definitely looking into figuring out what that's going to look like, right, to do more group activities in the future at some point. But definitely that outdoors piece that you know that has already been talked about. T4B is currently having discussions around, we're already doing a biking cohort. So we're having discussions around what would it look like for us to maybe do something around hiking or around walking in our neighborhoods. So what would a circle like that look like? And so right now we're still in discussion. So I mean, if we could find funding that would help us actually make that a reality, that's something that I'm really wishful for this year. If not early next year, right? Because we really do, we really do believe that, when we're talking about mental health capacity, right, in our communities, we know that outdoor and what's already been said around how it's a little bit safer to do things outdoor, right? But it's also about how are we utilizing our open spaces, our trails, and our parks, right? We know that there's been a lot of talk around certain renovations, certain programming that's already happening. So we're also trying to lean on those partners who already have those expertise. So that's kind of that's what I'm wishing for. I've definitely developed a love for the open spaces around my community, my area. That's what I spent doing my weekends. So we're really wanting to figure out how can we do that with our young men? How can we bring our young men out here in a safe, right, COVID safe way? And so we know that a lot of challenges come with that. But that's what we're very, very wishful for, is continuing that work moving forward.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, it's great to recognize some of those opportunities that exist within your neighborhood and just getting outside. And Baruch, we have a question for you in the chat. What are your dogs' names? We see them in the background, or one of them at least.
One of them is Alex, and this one's not mine, but her name's Luna.
Luna,
Yeah.
nice.
They're running around.
I just love seeing the dogs in the background, so thanks for that. Cool, I'm gonna shoot it over to Robert, who's gonna ask you guys the next question.
The beauty of COVID is that we get these moments in our Zoom calls when our pets invade our spaces, which is amazing. So it is time to brag a little bit. So what are y'all doing, or what have you done that has been successful during the pandemic, or that you've seen as having a lot of longevity? So Marcos, you talked a lot about your new program with your Abuelitas program, but are there anything else that you're excited for, or just want to brag about in this space?
Sure. Well, I just feel like this is, for us, a time of potential. So, Baruch, I actually think it's pretty cool. We have a meeting later today with your ED talking about potential collaboration. And that's fantastic. What a cool thing. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've already mentioned before, like the partnerships. I'd love to just brag about our partnerships. Actually, that's really made a lot of things possible for us. So first and foremost, I really, really have to thank Casa Varelas for allowing us to use this space free of charge. It's made a huge, huge difference in our programming. And another partnership that's been really valuable is our partnership with NACA Inspired Schools Network and My Brother's Keeper Alliance. And they've come in and taught us how to do some social emotional learning. But yeah, I mean, I just come in every day to work feeling really excited, and like this program is kind of being reborn. So, I mean, yeah, I would just like to brag about its growth, it's growing. I feel like people really see the value in it right now more than before. And I just want to brag about my staff too. We actually have a staff for the first time. So we have a part-time mechanic that comes in and helps us, and another part-time curriculum developer with us. And then 3 interns, and they're just all awesome. Like, I talk about them all the time, and I'm just feeling really blessed to be a part of this program. yeah, so I'm gonna like to brag too that we have built 40 bicycles in the last couple of months, with the help of our interns, teaching them along the way how to do that. And yeah, we have 2 storage containers totally full, which is why now we got to start giving them away, you know, because we got to make that room. Um, yeah, also we're going to start a volunteer program pretty soon, a volunteer corps, because if we want to expand our programs, we're going to need more hands, more cranks, um, to keep it going. So yeah, that's what I'll brag about, is just the growth that's happening this year.
I love it, man. That's really great. If there's any way, if anyone in the audience knows anybody that needs a bike, I know Marco has them. So, Jordan, what is there anything that you're really proud of, want to brag about in this space today?
Yeah, it's funny. My mind also went straight to partnerships. Like I feel like this last year has been like you can't possibly exist in a silo through this pandemic for both practical reasons and like our own individual like mental health. So we've started a bunch of new partnerships and strengthened a lot of existing partnerships. I mentioned earlier this partnership with Chiz for Che, which is out of Gallup, and getting everyone, kids and adults and everyone outside to do some good physical work and bring firewood to some people who need it. And same with our schools. I mean, despite the fact that we can't really do much in-person programming, we've still been engaging about 300 students in a virtual setting, but having them do stuff outside. So we're still finding ways to get kids outside, even in the pandemic. And that's really satisfying. And it's strengthened a lot of these partnerships with our school partners and others that I think are going to have a good lasting impact. And then finally, I'm, in addition to my role with Cottonwood Gulch, I'm also a fellow with the Environmental Education of New Mexico Fellowship, and there's I think 16 of us, and we're lots of different backgrounds from nonprofits and teachers and government positions and things, trying to create this shared vision about how to get kids outside. And I'm part of this group, so is one of my staff members, Olivia, and we've got this vision. I'll throw a link in the chat here in a second, and there's actually an event next week if folks are interested. But it's this idea of how do we think in a systems-wide way to create systems from state government on down to the school systems to the individual schools to make it a little easier to get kids outside. So that's been really cool, and that's been a great partnership to be a part of, and we're excited about where it's going.
That's awesome, Jordan. Thank you so much. Baruch, what are some things that y'all want to brag about in this space this morning?
So much to brag about. Let's see. Definitely how Jordan and Marco already mentioned, our partnerships. I feel that throughout last year, we've developed new partnerships. I already mentioned like Aspire, and also strengthen already existing partnerships like with Three Sisters Kitchen, My Brother's Keeper. So our partnership has definitely been a big part and a big piece and a big support system for us, because we know that we can't do it alone. We also, something that we also started doing since the pandemic hit is providing space, right? We have what we call our bro activities every week, which means it's just a space where our youth leaders, youth organizers, along with community members can participate in. And so I see that having a lasting impact in our organization, because we have actually really strengthened our connections to families. So we've actually had a lot of what we call T4B mamas, right, join us and really support our organization through the pandemic. So having those shared spaces where young people can bring in their parents. And on that note, as well as we've also build our capacity around having access to language. Language equity has always been a priority for us. But during the last year or so, we've been able to actually host multilingual circles where we actually have circles happening in multiple languages for young men, and also providing interpretation when needed and when able for those activities, right, where families can actually join. So I see that something continuing on in our organization's future as a priority. So I talked about the bro activities. I talked about the access to language. I think one last thing that I like to brag about since the pandemic hit, and I know it's not always possible, is just the amount of young people that have really stepped up and applied for pretty much all of our programming. We've had so much interest. We've seen like this rise in interest because we know that young people are yearning to connect with other people currently, right, as they're stuck at home. So we've actually we haven't had to turn anybody away so far, although we know that we can't promise that forever because, again, capacity issues. But we have so many young people who are trying to step up right now and trying to connect. And I think that's something that I really wanted to bring into this space, because although we know that so much is happening around us, that our community still wants to help. Our community still wants to build leadership. Our community still want to connect with peers and also mentorship. So that's a couple of things, and I'll leave it at that.
That's awesome, Baruch. Thank you. I will pass it to Michael to ask our very last question, and then we'll make it to the breakout rooms for networking.
Sounds good. So this is the question we always end with because we think it's very important. And it's, what can the community do for you today virtually? How can we support your organization? So I will continue in the same order. So I'll go with Marco first.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the biggest thing, we're always, in need of bicycles. So the biggest thing you can do, just look in your backyard. Chances are you probably have a bike in your yard that maybe needs a little work, right? And we'll take anything. We'll take any bike in any condition. If it's too far gone, we'll take what we can off of it, and then we'll recycle the rest. And then also that recycling money goes back into the program. Actually, we call it our taco money. So we got to feed the interns every now and then, right? So there's a little taco truck out here that we love. So yeah, that money goes back into the program. Also, financial donations help a lot. You can go to our website, centerofsouthwestculture.org or StoryRiders.org, and there's a donate button there. That always helps. But getting the word out. If you feel excited about the work that we do, just tell people about us. We do show up on Google searches for Bike Donations Albuquerque. I know there are various options, so we're really grateful for everyone who has chosen to donate to StoryRiders. Thank you so much. So yeah, just peek out that back window and see if you have a bike that you can give to us. And we also do pickups, so just contact me.
Great, thank you, Marco. And I know he put his contact information in the chat, so if you do want to get a hold of him, scroll through the chat and you'll be able to find his contact information. Thank you. All right, Jordan, what can we do for you today?
Yeah, I'm making a note. I literally had a friend yesterday who wanted to donate a bike, so I'm going to send him your email, Marco. There are a lot of them out there. Yeah, so we're looking to connect with more schools. So if you know teachers or administrators or parents who want to get their kids outside, we'll do some short version stuff, but our strongest partnerships are where we can work with a class throughout a whole school year and start with the really micro, like what's right there, like on the sidewalk or in the outside the door from the school, and explore that, and then build up to maybe day trips or walks, and then even a multi-night. We do a lot of longer expeditions where we'll take kids out camping for 2, 3, 4, 5 days at a time, and getting them to explore both the micro, what's right here in their neighborhood in Albuquerque or Gallup or wherever it is, and then also giving them a chance to explore this state. We have vast tracts of spectacular land here that we can go explore. And a lot of kids don't have a chance to do that. So we try to provide those opportunities. So if you know of teachers or administrators, or of course we definitely need funding to make that happen, of course. So funding sources to make that vision happen, we'd love to talk and see what we can do.
Excellent, thank you, Jordan. And he also included his contact information in the chat, as well as some community announcements for his organization too. So take a look at those. All right, Baruch, same question to you. What can we do here at Impact and Coffee to help you today?
Sweet. Yeah, for us, I did mention, right, for sure, funding support is always always good. I did mention, right, our vision and our wish to add a new circle to our programming around hiking. So anything really helps. If anybody knows of like something that we could apply for, anything like that, that would help us fund something like that for young men. Like I did mention, we do pay all of our interns and all of our participants. The other thing is we do have those weekly activities every week that community partners, we encourage everybody to join. You can find that information on our website, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you find us. You can find the dates and the times for those activities. It's always great to connect our youth leaders and our youth organizers to mentors in the community. So definitely that's another way to support us. Or if you're someone who has something really great that you might want to host with young men, those activities are also a good place. You can contact me and we could set something up for that, because that's also, we're always looking for more partnerships for sure. Other than that, yeah, I think those are the two major things right now, just funding and any other way that you guys can support as mentors, or even host an activity for us. That'd be really great. And Marco, I have like 2 bikes in my backyard that maybe you might be able to save. So we'll be in touch.
Right, thank you, Baruch. And Baruch, did you put your contact information in the chat yet?
Not yet, I'll do that now.
Excellent, cool. All right, so I'm gonna hand it off to Robert, who's gonna put us in breakout rooms. We'll be doing this for about 10 minutes and then we'll reconvene for 1 or 2 just to wrap everything up. But yeah, take it away, Robert.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Thanks. And thanks to all of our panelists this morning for joining us today. Really appreciate all the work that you're doing in community. We're going to do some breakout rooms for networking, some protocols for that. Obviously, practice some proper etiquette. Obviously, don't want to talk all over each other when you're in a breakout room. So if you could just introduce yourselves, your name, your organization. Our panelists will be in separate breakout rooms so they can talk to them, engage with them one-on-one, and ask any other questions you might have outside of the conversation we just had. Some other things to consider too, like what are ways in which y'all can support the organizations in on the panel today, and also just connect to other resources as well out in the community. I think that's one of the most important parts. We talked a lot about partnership today. It'd be good to see where other partnerships can start to happen as well. So really, we'll just start right here in just a second. There we go. And here we go. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us in the breakout rooms today. I hope everyone had a great chance to have answer any questions or get connected in some way. There was some really great information today on our panel. Just to close us out, thank you so much to everyone who joined us for Impact and Coffee this morning. We will be back next Tuesday with another very special panel. Special thanks to our panelists today for taking the time to talk about their programs, talk about what's going on in their communities. We really appreciate all the work that y'all are doing and for sharing your contact information. Hopefully we can support y'all as much as we can. Big thanks to the Impact and Coffee team. They make this happen so much every single month. To Michael, to Juan, to Danny, you all do so much great work. We really appreciate y'all. And you know, we'll just close out today and say thank you, everyone. And so we'll see you next Tuesday. We hope everyone has a really great rest of your week and a really great Tuesday. And we hope all your lights be green. Thanks and take care.
Thanks, Robert.